With the introduction there. So, as Sheila said, it's a very appropriate topic for tonight. We're talking about hurricane preparedness with the storms going on and all. So, before we start that, your two presenters tonight, myself, Fire Chief, and our Fire Marshal, Ryan Banyas. We also have Mindy Lorette, our public educator in the back, and a couple members here of our CERT, Community Emergency Response Team, are here as well. So after we're done, you can talk to them and get their experiences and all. So the first thing we're going to talk about, I'm just going to do a quick recap of our fire department and just go over a few things, what we're about and all. Our department is comprised of 79 members. 74 of us are firefighter paramedics. We're cross-trained. The rest, the other 5, are civilian support staff. That includes our admin assistant, our logistics coordinator, and our accreditation manager. Our personnel, the ones that you run into most often when you call 911, they work a 24-hour on, 48-hour shift. So they're all one day, off 2. The crew that came on this morning at 8 o'clock gets off tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and then they come back Sunday at 8 a.m. in the morning. So that's why you see here we have the 3 shifts. We call them A, B, and C. We're not very inventive when it comes to names for the shifts. So our daily staffing, we have 3 fire stations. We have 5 firefighter paramedics at each station, plus 1 battalion chief who's in charge. So our minimum staffing is 16 per day in the city. Minimum. So just, again, we have the 3 fire stations. Station 50 is down here in the south. It's by the community center across from Coconut Creek High School, 4500 Coconut Creek Parkway. That building was constructed in 2017. That is our newest facility. Station 94 at the top there is at Soul Press Bullet. That's right in front of the rec center, right on the corner of Johnson and Lyons Road. That originally started as a police substation, and that was converted into a fire station. Right now we have Fire Station 113, and that is located behind the Home Depot. That is a temporary fire station that is there. We're in the plans to construct a new fire station in the Main Street area, downtown, whatever you want to call it there. Our admin, right now we have offices we are leasing on Lyons Tech Parkway. So we're up there. So that's where our station locations. Any questions on that before I go? Sometimes there are. All right. So the majority of our calls, anywhere from 88 to 90% of our calls are EMS, emergency medical service related. That's anything from I've fallen, I need help up, to shootings, stabbings, car accidents, chest pain, strokes, anything like that. That's all what's covered under EMS calls, emergency medical service calls. Fire suppression, that's your fires, whether it's a car fire, elevator rescue, stove fire, residential fire, anything like that. Community risk reduction, which Ryan, our fire marshal, is in charge of. They do fire inspections. So every commercial occupancy and multifamily building in the city of Coconut Creek by state law has to be inspected, a fire inspection once a year. So they handle all those. What do they do when they come in and look? Make sure the exit signs are working. Make sure the aisleways are clear. Make sure the panic hardware on these doors, you push the buttons to get out. Make sure those things work. Those are the things they're looking for, the life safety issues. We also do fire investigation. Ryan and his staff are called out. Any fire that we can't immediately identify the cause and origin for. They will also, sometimes we have children who start fires. We refer them to a program which they participate in. It's a juvenile fire setters program. It's a diversion program, it's called, and that way we get them early and educate them on fire and the reasons not to start fires. Public education, which is Mindy. She goes out every year. She reaches every elementary school in Coconut Creek, daycare, preschool, to educate them on what to do in case of a fire. Stay low, get out. You hear the smoke detector go off? Get out. Dial 911 for police and fire, things like that. Community outreach, we do the quarterly barbecues. in each area of the city. We do HOA meetings we attend, things like that. That's all part of our community outreach. Now, the reason we're here tonight is emergency management. The fire department is responsible for emergency management for the entire city. So what does that mean? We are the coordinator, liaison between county emergency operations, state operations, weather. I was driving Sheila and the rest of the commissioners crazy, but I'm sending constant weather alerts the last couple of days for this. And anything going around, we make sure that we're coordinating all our activities with the county, state, FEMA, and most importantly, we ensure that we keep track of everything we do during the storm so we can get reimbursed by FEMA and get our money back that way. So, any questions on fire rescue service before we start about hurricane preparedness?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
8 years ago, 9 years ago, during a hurricane, my father fell.
Okay.
And we called you all. I think it was 30. None of your people come out unless it's less than 30.
Yes, actually, Brian's going to cover that in one of his slides. If he doesn't, I will. I'll answer that. Just keep that in mind. So with that, I will turn it over. Who's counting?
All right, good evening. Good evening. This is our 10th ambassador program. Is there anyone here that's been to all 10? Awesome, we got a couple people. The first ambassador program was June of 2022, and that covered emergency preparedness. That was specifically emergency preparedness for city staff and what the city's going to do in relation to an emergency. This one's going to be hurricane preparedness specifically for the residents and the citizens. So thank you all for being the ambassadors that you are and spreading out this information. Does anybody know what the difference between a hurricane watch and a hurricane warning is? Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Watch means conditions are appropriate for it, and warning means it's look likely or it's going to happen very soon.
Pretty close. You pretty much have it. They have specific criteria for the timeline of that. The watch is within 48 hours. You should. It's possible that there will be tropical storm winds in your area, and the warning is 36 hours. You are expected to have tropical storm winds in your area. Yes, sir.
Tornado watch and warning different than?
Those are different, yes. Because you usually don't have a lot of time to predict tornado watch and warnings. Those usually come with little preparation, essentially. We usually have days to get information on hurricane watch and warnings. But they are specific to tropical storm winds because they want to give you enough time to be able to prepare your home, to prepare your emergency plan. They don't want you to be out in tropical storm winds preparing and driving. So that's why they give that advanced warning. All right. So a lot of today is going to be talking about your individual plan, what you're going to do for a hurricane. What is specific to you? It's not going to be the same for everyone here. Who can give me some ideas of stuff that we would do to prepare before a hurricane? Yes?
Make sure you have batteries and operating radio.
Definitely. There's going to be a list that we're going to show later that's going to have a comprehensive list of supplies of stuff that we can get today by now that'll prepare us for hurricane season. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Water, food that doesn't need to be cooked, can opener, your medications.
Absolutely. All that stuff is great stuff. We're going to direct you to that list that has those items on it. And a lot of those things are not perishable, and we can use it if we don't have a hurricane hit us. I'll take one more on that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a generator, and every time, right before hurricane season starts, I take it and get it checked out by a generator to make sure everything's working.
Awesome, that's a great idea. Usually when we start that generator before hurricane season, it doesn't start, so that's a great idea. Yeah, one more, Leanie. Yeah.
Practice with your family and what you would do in case it's coming and let others know of what your plan would be when we might be.
Definitely sharing with your family what the expectations are for you and your family. I agree. Thank you. All right, so there is a ton of information on the city's website. We have a specific hurricane information page. There's a lot of links that will lead you to different areas, different websites. So please check that out. It's at coconutcreek.net/hurricane. So there's going to be, if you wanted a refresher on something that we talked about today, that's going to be on that website. In regards to this, and that reminds me, does anybody know what the non-emergency number is to call for if you had to talk to a 911 operator? So I personally keep that number in my phone, it's Coconut Creek non-emergency. Mindy in the back, she has keychains that have the number on it, so if you need a refresher on that, please see Mindy in the back later today. Also, if you want to take those and hand those out as ambassadors, please do that. We're going to go over that number a little bit later in the presentation. Another thing that the city offers is Coco Alert. If you wanted to scan that QR code with your phone, you can get access to the Coco Alert. That's also accessible from that website that we just looked at. But Coco Alert is specific for emergencies. And this isn't going to be spam news or city events. The city will only send you an emergency Coco Alert if it's a true emergency. We haven't used it very much, but some examples would be boil water notices. One time, 911, AT&T, you couldn't, if you had AT&T as your service provider, you couldn't dial 911. It wasn't working. So we sent out a Coco Alert to give people the non-emergency number to call. And it took 10 hours or so for them to get it fixed, but that's an example of an emergency we would use for Coco Alert. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do, or at least tell your neighbors that this is a thing that we offer. Additionally, the police department, you might have heard about this as well, they have Creek Armor. This is an app that you can download on your phone through the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. This Creek Armor app gives a little bit more detailed information, like road closures or other significant events. It's not going to be like emergency events like that Coco Alert, but the Creek Armor app is important. It's got a lot of information on there that you can even text city employees at the real-time crime center if you had something you wanted to report to them. So that's, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but please keep in mind the Creek Armor app is something important that we can use. All right, so if you want more information than you can desire, a lot of this stuff we're talking about today comes from this Florida Hurricane Guide. The Florida Department of Emergency Management publishes this guide. It's 44 pages long. You can visit floridadisaster.org to see this guide. So just so you know that if you want more information than we provide today, please take a look at this guide. One page out of the guide is the disaster supply kit, the checklist that that we talked about earlier. You can scan there and that'll bring it up on your phone. Mindy in the back has this as well if you'd like to pick some of that up to distribute it. Do you think candles is on this list as emergency supply? That's I thought I was going to trick you guys with that one. No, candles is not a good idea for lighting when you lose power. We're going to want to use flashlights and lanterns. Mindy, if you see in the back, she's got some lanterns for you guys for attending today. Please take those lanterns. They're very bright LED lanterns. They last a pretty good amount of time. And so, yes, definitely candles is not on this list. So if you want to scan it there, please do that. I did want to highlight some stuff that was on that list in regards to documentation of your home and documents that you have in your home. I would take pictures and videos of inside the house, outside of your house, of your vehicle. That way, if something did get damaged or you got flood inside, it would be easier to get your insurance company and get claims processed a lot better if you had current and up-to-date pictures and videos. Also, I would recommend, a waterproof safe or a waterproof, container that you can keep documents in, such as your Social Security cards and insurance cards, homeowners insurance. So please take pictures on your phone. There are unlimited pictures you can take on your phone, so you just want to be as prepared as possible, just in case. One tip that's not in that list there is some tips for seniors. You can read here on some stuff here that we would recommend that might not get talked about as much. You want to even have something as a blanket that you want to use. So just, again, every list is going to be specific to each individual person. So one thing we talked about earlier was a list of your family members. You might need to write their phone numbers down on a piece of paper. Just your phone might lose its battery. You might not remember what phone number to call. So simple things like that we want to try to prepare for. Family members, doctors, so please keep that stuff in mind. We've talked about the Vulnerable Population Registry in the past. This registry is a list that the county maintains, and it is, if you're put on the list, it's because you expect someone, the city, the fire department, to check on you before an emergency and after the emergency. A lot of people on this list have certain needs. Maybe they have medication that requires to be refrigerated, and if they lose power, they need that medication. They might have mobility concerns, and so if we'd like you to share this list with your neighbors, let them know that this is something that is offered and that they can get put on this list. Call 311 as a way to do it. Go online as a way to get on this list. The city has 80 to 100 people on the list currently, so just keep that in mind. This is probably a good resource for some of your neighbors. Any questions on the Vulnerable Population Registry? Great. Not a lot of people know this, but you can get a waiver of the refill too soon for your prescription law. That doesn't allow you to get a prescription if you had just received it. If there is a hurricane warning, if there's a state of emergency, if the Emergency Operations Center has been activated, you can get a refill of your prescriptions for 30 days, no matter what. So this is something that I would talk to my pharmacist about, just to, double check if that is something that your medication is eligible for, and prepare for that before you need to use it. City Manager Rose talked about how fire department might not be able to respond if you call 911 during a hurricane. The winds are so strong that it could tip over a rescue truck. And so it's too dangerous sometimes to respond during a hurricane. You might be left in an extended period of time where you have to handle a situation by yourself. That being said, the city offers free CPR and AED classes. Those classes are taught by Mindy in the back, again. And here is the upcoming classes. We are doing them, the next 3 at our fire administration offices. Yes, sir?
Phone number for that?
Talk to Mindy in the back, and it's also online. You go online and you can register that way. There's a nice simple way to register online. Again, it's free to city residents, and we offer 2 classes a month, and we're always looking to fill those classes up, so please let your neighbors know. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Chief Gary real quick. Yes, sir?
2 questions. First of all, is there a handout that you're going to give us of all these slides?
We don't have a printout of all the slides, no.
The other question I have
It's
is
on the
the distinction
website.
between 311 and 211.
Roz can answer that question.
211 is, if you live alone, they give you a call every day, it's free of charge, and they will help you if you're in need.
So 211 is someone checking in on you. 311 is for information, countywide, for like county. You're welcome. Thank you.
And yeah, we will have a copy of the slides online, as well as this is being taped, and it will be put online, so you can record it with your Betamax or your VHS, whichever you have. That was a joke. I'm trying to lighten the mood up here a little bit. Come on. All right. Just a real quick thing. When Ryan was talking about watches and warnings, so watch comes first. Even in a tornado, flood, you get to watch, which means conditions are right for something, either a tornado to happen, hurricane to happen, etc. Warning means it's imminent, it's happening, you need to seek shelter. Did anybody get a warning just a little while ago on their phone?
Yes.
Don't drive.
Did anybody listen to it? No, we were testing you. So that warning you just got was a flood warning out there, the severe flooding, not to drive, stay in your house and all that. So pay attention to those because they will let you know when a watch means just be aware. Warning means it's going to happen. And what Ryan was talking about with a hurricane, it may be days, tornado, flood, something like that. You're talking minutes, hours, something along those lines. So when you go on to coconutcreek.net, go on our Facebook page, you go to the top, and I want to see, and then you go down to maps. You can pick different types of maps to look at. That's what this is showing here. GIS map books, in there it shows FEMA flood zones, utility infrastructure, things like that, citywide responsibilities. You can see who collects your garbage, who's responsible, code enforcement, stormwater drainage, and all those information. That's sometimes good stuff to have there. All the way to the right, do we recognize the picture there with the yellow and red? That's evacuation areas in a hurricane. Red is for Cat 1, yellow is for anything above it. The only mandatory evacuation areas in the city of Coconut Creek are the mobile home parks. Those under a Cat 1 or greater and some tropical storms, those are mandatory evacuation areas. So fire department's gonna go through, police are gonna go through, and then, make these announcements. We're gonna put, when that order comes, we're gonna put it out. So please obey that evacuation order. So now is the time to get your plan in motion. So what you want to do, where are you going to stay if you have to move out? You can stay with family, which is highly recommended, or friends, or get a hotel. Last resort are shelters. There's a reason I say they're the last resorts. All you're entitled to when you go to a shelter is 10-foot by 20-foot square area on the floor. You have to bring all your own food, all your own bedding, all that stuff. So they're not really a very comfortable place to be. But the county runs 33 shelters all throughout the county. There are 3 located in Coconut Creek. We don't know which ones are open. The county's the one that decides at the last minute how many and what location. However, Monarch High School on Wiles Road has always been one of the first ones to open in the county, so it's a pretty good chance that one will be open. Lions Creek Middle School off of Soul Press up by the rec center, that is one of 3 dedicated pet-friendly shelters. If you want to spend 24 hours with your pet and a bunch of other pets, that's the one you want to, have that one in mind. There are 2 others, one central, one south. So pretty good bet that that one's going to open as well. Traywinds Elementary is it's opened in that I remember twice, in the last 15 years. That's one of the lower ones usually. It may or may not open, so don't plan on that one. My advice, find other accommodations out there and be ready to relocate if you're asked to. Preparation before the storm. If you can pick it up, put it up, because it's going to blow around. As ambassadors, what we're asking you to help your neighbors out. Because if they don't pick it up, it could blow into your house or car or something else. So be a good ambassador out there. Be aware, anything that you can pick up can be blown. It needs to come inside and be secured. All right? Protect your home. If you have shutters, now's the time to check to make sure they're numbered, they're ready to go. You have all those little wing nuts, all the little bolts that just seem to walk away. Make sure you have all that stuff ready to go now. If you can't put your shutters up, have preparations now. Some kid in the neighborhood or some company that will come by and put them up for you. Or, as a good ambassador, volunteer to help your neighbor if they're elderly or incapacitated in some way that they can't put their shutters up. Offer to help put them up. It'll pay dividends back to you. After a storm, the city has a contractor who will come up and pick up debris. That's all public streets. If you live in a community, the city has to have a right-of-way agreement signed. Otherwise, we will not our contractor will not come in there to pick up debris. You will have to drag your debris out to the main road. All of our communities have signed these except for, and if you're a member of Golden Rain Tree 1, Lago Vista, or Parkwood 6, let your HOA know they need to sign this form. Otherwise, our contractor can't come in there and pick up debris. You're going to have to drag it out to the front. All right? Don't forget your pets. Don't forget your pets. Now's the time, buy a little bit of extra food, dry food, wet food, water. When you have water supply for yourself, don't forget your pets. If some of them need medication or whatever, have that ready. Have your vehicle ready. Just remember when the hurricane watch comes out, how difficult is it to get to a gas station, get filled up? So have it ready. If you have a generator, have extra cans of fuel that you can safely store at your residence. Be ready to get that stuff. All of our gas stations in Coconut Creek have backup generators because we are close to the turnpike. They are mandated to have them. Whether they work or not, so just have a couple in mind. All of our Publix here, and Publix food stores have backup generators. So all that will be available unless it's a major one. Yes, sir?
You got it.
Yep, Publix and all the grocery store. So if you want to have a to-go kit or whatever ready with all your important paperwork that Ryan talked about, ready to go into your vehicle. During a storm, maybe put your vehicle inside the garage. If you don't have a garage, like me, have a carport, have to park out front, maybe not park underneath that tree. You're going to want your vehicle afterward. So just some things to think about and get ready. During the storm, stay inside. Do not go outside. There's going to be falling wires. There's going to be falling trees. There's going to be, it's not what the wind is blowing, it's not how the wind is blowing, it's what the wind is blowing. Remember, there's all kinds of debris. You could get injured. Ron brought up a good point. During the storm, once peak winds reach 35 miles an hour sustained, our high profile vehicles, our fire trucks and rescue truck, cannot go out or they risk getting blown over. So what we do is we have a lower profile vehicle that will tow paramedics that will respond to emergency calls. At some point, we will suspend going to what's called non-emergency calls. I need help up, things like that. So just be aware of that. Once the hurricane hits and the sustained winds are really up there, we will hop into a police car. We do have, a police vehicle. We have that capability as well. But at some point, police, fire, we are off the road. That's what we're talking about. You're on your own. Consider you're on your own for 72 hours. So have enough stuff to be for 3 days. Here in Coconut Creek, I will do everything in my power to get to each and every one of you in that 3 days. Because we have our utilities, we have our public works who are helping clear road. We have a debris management company here. That's the biggest thing, is clearing roads to get to you. So that's why we're telling you, be self-sufficient. Look out for your neighbors for that 72 hours. What are we doing at the city? We are here around the clock. Utilities and engineering, I talked to them at 10 o'clock last night. They are there working for you. Public Works is here. We staff our Emergency Operations Center, which is across the street. So we'll have a representative from the city manager from each department there coordinating all activities in the city. We're here, we're working. We actually, for the fire department, we have a paramedic go to the 911 center in Coral Springs. So during that time that we can't respond out, you can actually talk to a paramedic and they can help you. Make yourself as comfortable as possible, and with whatever medical care we can help you provide over the phone until we can get there. We will have, our police will be at the shelters, most of the shelters, and we may have some city staff at some of the other shelters as well. Responding emergency, non-emergency calls in coordination with the county EOC. So during that period, we're still responding. And I'll go over the non-emergency number. That's when it becomes real important, because everybody's calling 911 for everything. 911 only has a certain number of numbers out there. So everybody's trying to call, there's only a certain to get through. So that's for emergencies only. And I'll give you, Mindy has the keychain. I'll run you a test. If you got your phones ready, I'll show you a slide here in a minute of what the non-emergency number is. We deploy resources as needed. If it's large enough hurricane, we run out of resources, we request through the county, through the state, additional police, fire. Right now, Orlando sent down pumps to Fort Lauderdale last night to help pump out. We have that kind of path going, so we make sure that. Yvonne, she sits in there with us. If you're ever isolated from the world and you want one person with you, Yvonne's the one you want. She brings all kinds of games. She's always happy. She's always trivia questions. And she's sending information. More importantly, yes. more importantly, she's sending out information to you, so you know what's going on, and what the city is doing for you. Basically, we're here ready to serve, 24/7. So here's the number. Here's the non-emergency dispatch for fire and police, 954-346-4400. So I'm gonna give you a little test right now. What's something you should call 911 for, or this number? All right, the one on the left, you see that? That's, there's no wire, open wires, nobody's hurt in that situation. It's just you have a roof leak and panels. What number do you call for help with that? Non-emergency, perfect. The one in the middle, there's no electrical wires, there's no gas wires. It didn't fall on somebody, didn't fall on somebody's car, anything like that. What number do you call for that?
Arbors.
Yeah, non-emergency.
That's neither.
Yeah. The one on the right is wires arcing, live wires arcing. What number do you call for that? 911. You're having a true medical emergency, call 911. Absolutely. All right. Flooding in your home. Here, we're fortunate there are some areas that get some water intrusion. However, we have one of these large rain events, you never know. So, always have flood barriers available, sandbags, things like that, to keep the water out of your house. Unplug electronics, especially if water gets inside your house. Water and electricity do not mix. Get to higher ground, even here in Florida, we have higher spots. Keep your pets with you. They get stressed out. Any pet owner knows that. Make sure you go to your vet and get medication if they need it. Keep them with you. They get really nervous. So stay away from flooded areas. If the streets flood, you always see this on Channel 7 News or any of the others. When the streets are flooded, people walking down the streets, those manhole covers, do you ever notice they get popped off when it gets flooded? You step in one of those, you're going 20 feet down sometimes. So you're not going to survive that. So never walk, if you can't see the bottom, don't walk in it, all right? Stay away from down power lines. Electricity, water, and humans don't mix. So always remember that. So, back to Ryan.
All right, thank you. We just got an email today saying that 911 had received too many calls in regards to vehicles that were stalled out or stuck in the water, and that isn't necessarily a 911 call. That's a call to the tow truck company or something like that. Just because your vehicle was in the water doesn't necessarily mean it was 911. So just keep that in mind. Before we talked about what to do before, during, and then I'm going to cover after. But before I do that, I did want to highlight those items on that disaster kit. You can purchase them from June 1st to June 14th as a disaster tax-free holiday. So you still have a couple days left to purchase items at tax-free with the tax-free holiday. Yes?
Yeah, just 1 day.
1 day left, yes. So we have 1 day left. Yes, sir.
But there's another session of that in September.
Yes, when the heart of hurricane season comes, they'll give you another, it's probably a week or two, but items on that is cat litter, batteries, most of the stuff on that list, even generators are on there. So please keep that in mind. I also wanted to highlight some things specific to your communities. Does anyone here have an elevator in their multifamily home? Or multifamily, yes. So please be aware and talk to your maintenance and your HOAs on, do they shut down the elevator during hurricanes or tropical storms? And at what point do they do that? Most of the time they will do that because they don't want power outages and have someone in the elevator and get stuck and trapped in that elevator. So they just turn off the elevators. So please be aware that that's something that is possible to happen in your building. Another thing is, if you're in a gated community, if the power goes out for your gate into your community, does it automatically fail open? That's something that you should know now before that happens. We don't want it to be a scenario where the gate it has no power and no one can get in and out. So please, that's another thing I'd like you to pay attention to. Yes, sir.
Does the debris pickup service gated communities?
If they have this agreement in place and the gates are open.
Right away.
Yep.
Winmore?
That's a good question. I'll find out the answer for that for you. I don't see.
We're getting some thumbs up in the back in regards to the wall.
Yeah, it's, if they're not on the list, then that means it's a big problem.
Yes, yes.
Elevator shafts. I was in a situation where the water was accumulating. I knew that water was going down that elevator shaft. Is that alcohol? Is there, do I step in that water? I mean, I don't know.
You had water accumulating in an elevator or an elevator shaft?
Yes, if it accumulates like in a lobby,
Okay.
something like that comes within the lobby, and you know there's a shaft at that elevator. I was just wondering just to step off a step and go into that water.
They say the pit that's full?
The pit or the surrounding area, can you step off and into that water?
All scenarios are different, obviously. I've seen a lot of those pitted elevator shafts with pumps.
Judy,
You're afraid of electrocution is what you're thinking might be?
that's the first thing that popped in my mind.
Yeah, it's possible. You have to be careful of all those different scenarios. So, what is the city doing? Chief Gary talked a lot about what the city's doing. We talked about that during the first ambassador program. I just want to emphasize that the first thing that we would do after the storm is take those priority 911 calls. We might have a backlog of calls, and so we would prioritize which ones are important to respond to. The police department's going to be escorting utility companies to utility centers, and public works and utilities department are going to be clearing the roads. If you pull up to a intersection that has no lights, what do you do in that scenario? Yes, I heard in the back. That is a four-way stop. Now, is that a scenario where we call 911? No, because we know that is out. We're alerted that intersection is out. So I just wanted to emphasize, we don't want you out on the road directly after the hurricane, but if you had to and you came across that scenario, that is a four-way stop sign.
Brian?
Yes?
Would you rather we not even call the non-emergency number because you're aware of it and you want us to leave those lines open?
In that scenario, yes, that's not something that, because it's the same dispatch center that you're calling. For the traffic light scenario, you don't need to even report that. It's something that we're already aware of. So again, after the storm, everyone wants to go out and see the damage, see what's going on. I just want you to be careful of down power lines. I think Hurricane Irma, there was a live power line in my backyard that traversed the whole backyard. Just be really careful about that. Assume that a flooded street or flooded road could possibly have a power line in it. Like Chief Gary said, there could be something that you don't see that you could step into. It's just best not to go out in that scenario. Whether it's you or your kids or your grandkids, it looks fun and you're bored in the home, but do the best you can not to go out into that situation. The parking lots can fill up with water and make it look so that you can't tell the difference between the road and the canal. And you think you're driving on the road and then you drive right into the canal. That is something that's happened before. Again, we just rather you not be out driving if you don't have to be. Any questions on that? Anything you want to talk about? Yes, sir.
Brian, what's your expectations for flooding in Coconut Creek?
So, the number one One of the number one concerns with hurricanes is storm surge. Hurricane Ian, most people died because of storm surge. We saw those pictures from Naples where the fire station was underwater, half the city was underwater. That was due to the storm surge. We are not in an area that is expected to receive a storm surge from the ocean. So that's not necessarily a concern of ours. You saw with the April flooding last year and the current flooding this week, Coconut Creek does a pretty good job with getting water out and into the canals and away. So our utilities department, they do a good job with that. Now, after the storm, utilities are going to go out and clear storm drains. That's one of the things that they do. So, is that kind of where you were questioning? Is what type of flooding should we expect people's homes to be underwater? Is that kind of what you were asking?
Yeah, I think you pretty much answered it.
I think there could be scenarios in Coconut Creek where water gets into your home, yes, but I don't see the scenario where you have to be up on your roof because the whole house is underwater. That's my opinion for that.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, so we should expect to not have power after the hurricane has come. We should also expect not to have cell service because most of the cell phone towers are powered, and you need them working with power to have your cell phones working. But just a quick, there's some graphics up here on generator safety. We can never emphasize that enough. We definitely don't use the generator in the house. We don't use it in the garage. We want to use it in a dry location. And we want it to be 20 feet away from the home, 20 feet away from windows, openings. That's what we expect for generator usage. We want you to store your fuel for your generator in a safe space. We don't want you storing it inside.
So, before a hurricane, we have to get gasoline.
Yes.
For the generator.
Yes.
What is a safe place then if you can't put it in
Your
house?
garage is a good place, a safe place to store.
So you can store it in the garage?
Yes, but make sure it's stored in an appropriate container. Make sure that it's made for storing gasoline. When I say inside, I'm obviously talking about in the residence, right? Like outside shed would be the most ideal scenario, but during a hurricane that might not be there still. After the hurricane, your vehicles hold 20 gallons of gas, so that might be something that you could utilize in an emergency, the gas in your own vehicle potentially.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
The 20 feet. The new generators out on the market today have carbon monoxide sensors that as soon as that sensor picks up the carbon mono, it shuts it down. Additionally, some of the generators are dual fuel.
Yes.
They're gasoline and LPG.
Yes, sir.
So with regards to the carbon mono shutdown and the LPG, what kind of spacing information guidelines?
I'm not familiar with the shutdown portion. I've heard of the dual. I would just be as practical as possible. Obviously you can't go too far if it's. You can't go too far if it's next to your neighbor, right? You don't want to be into their area. I would recommend that you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home, no matter if you were using the one that you were talking about. Yeah, so anytime you're using a generator, just please have carbon monoxide in the home as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much carbon mono the LPG generates, if it does at all.
It's different than the combustible of the gasoline, for sure. All right. And then lastly, I'd like to talk about real quick is food safety. If you leave your home and you're not sure, you go away, you stay at a friend's house, you stay at a hotel, and you come back and You're not sure if you lost power or not. One trick that Chief Gary had told me is if you have a frozen cup of water and you put a coin on it, and if when you get back the coin is still at the top, you know that it didn't melt, and you should be safe with eating that food again. But if the coin had melted and now it's inside the cup in the water and the ice, you know that you probably lost power for a significant period of time. So the saying is, when in doubt, throw it out. So that's, we don't want to get rid of our food and lose all that money and food, but you also don't want to get sick as well. So please keep that in mind. And now I'm going to pass it back over to Chief Gary.
Okay, so after a storm, when you're trying to get rid of your storm debris at your house, we want you to put it in different piles because we're not going to be able to go through, particularly when it comes to vegetative debris, your branches and stuff like that. We only want to dispose of that. Your household, large appliances, things like that, put in a separate pile. Your electronics, a separate pile. Construction debris, separate pile. Your household. So there's a different pile when you put it out to the curb. Otherwise, we're not going to pick it up, or our contractors are not going to pick it up. So there's that. So after a storm, if you hire contractors to come help fix your house, make sure they are licensed. There's all kinds of people that show up after a storm, offer their services for cash and things like that. If you have any questions, feel free to call. You can go on the Broward.org building or call our own building department here in the city, and we can help you determine if it's a legitimate offer or not. So just be aware, there's all kinds of scams out there. So remember to keep connected with us. We're on all these sites. Again, Yvonne keeps those up. A copy of this will be going up on our site after. So with that, any questions? Fred?
Who maintains the water level, like in our lake or the canals? Or
South Florida Water Management District. And our utilities coordinates with them. They've been talking to them about how much it got lowered and things like that. They help monitor that.
Right, so are they still lowering it before a hurricane comes and things like
Yes,
that?
they started lowering it. What did Osama say? What's that? Monday, I think they started lowering it in anticipation for all this rain.
Not in North Broward, not us.
In the canal, South Florida Water Management System. Yeah, I don't know about the ponds though, but the canals, yes. Because they have to get the water out. So it may go up for a little bit and then down as it goes through the different sections. Maybe that's what you're saying.
But they're part of the management.
South Florida Water Management District.
Yeah, but they're part of the emergency management.
And yes. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
About how far above sea level are Coconut Creek or Windmore in particular?
Are we around 10? Oh, the question was how far above sea level are we here, particularly in Windmore, in Coconut Creek? I don't know. We're not much more than 10 feet, I wouldn't say.
13, I believe.
13. Any more questions? All right, well, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Ambassador Leamy Smith would like to come up and just have a couple